And good evening, everybody. This is Cruz, the Beast from the East, and it is 6:02 p.m. here in the Cap City. Hope that you had a wonderful Wednesday. We are excited to be here with you today. Again, it has been an absolutely beautiful one. We hope that you're enjoying your evening. We have some crucial information coming up for you and a very special guest. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsors. Universal Medical Health Services LLC, providing comprehensive mental health services. They have three locations: Newport News, Richmond, Virginia, and also Annapolis, Maryland. You can find them on Facebook, Twitter, and IG. They care about your mental well being. So give them a call. You can reach them at their Newport News office, which is 757 706 3309. Also, we'd like to thank our other sponsor, Design Creations and Candles. If you're looking for something special for your home or a special gift, make sure that you contact Design Creations and Candles LLC on Facebook, IG, and Twitter. I'm extremely proud and excited to have our special guest here this evening. And I was going to read something off a teleprompter, but I don't need a teleprompter to introduce this man. First of all, Mr. Alfred Liggins III is the CEO of Urban One Radio LLC and also TV One LLC, formerly before it was Urban One, it was Radio One. His mother, Miss Kathy Hughes, who was iconic, started Radio One in 1980, and Mr. Liggins came on in 1989 and has continued the stellar work that his mom started. You are looking at perhaps the most diversified media company in the world, giving information to African Americans about African Americans, and he continues that trend to be innovative, moving forward, and he is the force behind Casino One Resort, which is coming to Richmond. I said coming to Richmond. It is a proposal that is in place right now, and we're glad to have the CEO of Urban One LLC with us. How you doing, Mr. Liggins?
I'm doing very well this evening, Cruz, and thank you for inviting me to come on your show. I'm very honored and pleased to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I hope that I nailed that introduction. I wanted to do that by memory there because, again,
you did the other. It's Urban One Incorporated and TV One LLC. That's just minor legal classification. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to get with Wikipedia because I studied that and
that's all good. Yeah, either one doesn't really matter. But you got all the names right. Your introduction and thank you for recognizing my mother and her legendary founder's work and look, we're excited. We've been part of the Richmond community since 1999. I actually joined the company in 1985, we first purchased our stations in Richmond in 1999. So we've been part of the community for over 2 decades and love it. And I've spent a lot of time in the city, and I've watched it grow, and change and develop its own unique, bespoke personality that is only going to grow in stature, and the future is bright, and we're excited to be part of that future in Richmond with our proposal for the One Casino and Resort right there in Southside 8th District. At the 95 and Carmus Road there. So exit 69 Bells Road. So.
You got it down to a science there. So you guys are actually in Silver Springs, Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's where our headquarters is. We're founded in Washington, D.C., so we've been in D.C. We were in Prince George's County, Maryland for 15 years in Lanham. And then most recently we headquartered in Silver Spring, Maryland. So we're right up the road. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now there is a quest, and one of the things that has been a staple in this quest is that you all are looking to become the first African American majority owned casino in America, and that's phenomenal in terms of that. The casino business has been around for years, and yet there's no predominantly African American owned casino. What has led to such a delay in the industry, especially for African Americans?
Well, look, that's a good question. We won't be the first, we'll be the only. The very first African American controlled casino was controlled by a gentleman by the name of Don Barden, who was from Detroit, Michigan, and he actually became the owner of a riverboat casino in Gary, Indiana, before Indiana actually licensed land-based casinos. And so, as you might know, Gary, it's really kind of also a suburb of Chicago. And he expanded his business. He had Gary. He ended up owning a place called Fitzgerald's in Las Vegas. And then he actually won the license for the Pittsburgh casino in Pennsylvania. And it was very much, a process where, he went to the state legislature and worked with African-American Democratic legislators to say, hey, the state of Pennsylvania is issuing all these licenses. There should be some minority participation. And he was able to win that license. Unfortunately, during the financial crisis of 2008, when things were really tough. He was in the middle of building this casino. He also got sick, cancer, and he passed away. And ultimately, the company ended up, changing hands, into to non-African American hands. So to date, there is no participation, of any, African Americans in any kind of control situation, and it's a very difficult business to get into. It's very expensive. These, buying casinos or building casinos is a significant, investment. Usually, hundreds of millions of dollars, to be able to pull it, to be able to pull it off. And it's an industry dominated by large companies like MGM or Caesars or Penn National. And then you have the the idea you got to have somebody who's interested in the business, that wants to kind of work hard to position themselves to be able to take advantage of it, but then has the resources to be able to pull it off, should they be able to put themselves politically in an advantage to participate. And we were blessed, because the media business, starting with the radio business, and then our cable television business, TV1, and our digital business, gave us a very solid economic base of what to invest in businesses and launch new businesses. And then we know our community, and we know the political landscape, and we know what we don't have in our community, and what kinds of opportunities we need. And so we seek out opportunities for Black people, including, we're a public company, so we got lots of minority, we have lots of Black shareholders all throughout, the country, and particularly, up in places that we operate, and so when we see political economic development opportunities like happened in Maryland. The state of Maryland, was issuing casino licenses the first go around. Nobody African American got one. I know a gentleman who was trying to pursue it, but ultimately was not able to secure it. When we saw that they were going to issue a sixth license in Prince George's County, where we had been based for 15 years, and it was a 70% African American population there. We put ourselves in a position to present to MGM why would we would be a great local partner for them, and we hit it off, and we had similar mindsets, and we made a very large investment in MGM National Harbor, about $40 million, and we owned 7% of that. We bought 7% of it before they had actually applied for the license, and then they brought in a number of other smaller investors with smaller amounts that took up another 3%. So about 10% of that project was local minority investors led by us. So that's how we got started in it. But it was a decision that was going to be made, first at the state level, and certainly, African American legislators were going to have a say
Right.
in how that played out, and then the leadership in Prince George's County, had some influence on how that should play out. It really comes down to that. We should have an opportunity to not just be consumers,
Right.
patronize the blackjack tables, patronize the restaurants. We should have an opportunity to work there, at a significant level. We should have, an opportunity to get contracts to build it, to support it ongoing. If there are restaurants and things of that nature, be the purveyors, of those restaurants, but also invest, or in this case, even be the primary owner, of
Right.
it. Doesn't mean that the casino is not for everybody, because it is, right?
Mhm.
It just happens to be owned, by a group of minority folks. And one of the things I wanted to focus on, in Richmond, was it's not just an opportunity for, Alfred Liggins and Kathy Hughes in Urban One. It's our Urban One shareholders, but this is a casino that's going to be in Richmond, Virginia. So as a company, knowing that we're here to support the African American community and inform and educate and try to move them forward, I made a concerted effort, to tap our network that we developed over the last 2 decades to find local Richmond minority investors, people who live there, people that you live with, worship with, work with, socialize with, who would be part of this. They would be part of this ownership group, and ultimately would benefit from the success that the casino would have, and then they would recirculate that money right back there in Richmond, Virginia, right? And
Right.
and then I wanted to even take it a step further beyond the 50 local investors, is that the jobs that are going to be created, and there's going to be 1,500 full-time jobs created. We created a profit sharing plan, which is exceptionally rare in casinos. So if you work at one casino resort, you're going to be able to participate in the company profit sharing plan, and so you're an owner as well. And every year at holiday time, each employee will, when we look at what we think the projected profits would be, we'll take
Right.
$3,000 to $5,000, a year at holiday time, on top of the average $55,000 salary that they're gonna make. So I'm really proud that we're proposing a project that is lifting the whole community, and benefiting, hundreds of people, that, and then will continue to hopefully impact thousands of people, as well.
There's a question that came up pretty much in line with what you had mentioned. And the question is, how many local residents become investors in this project? I think you just kind of went over that. So if you could.
Yeah, it's well over 50. It's probably 55 at this point in time. Yeah.
That's
It's a lot of people. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, Alfred, what I'm going to do is unpack some things here, in an amount of time, and talk about some of the concerns that some of the citizens had, and what has come about since even mentioning about the casino, not just for Casino One, but for the other locations. There's been a lot of conversation about it, and one of the conversations that has kind of come to the forefront is about crime.
Yep.
And basically, the reason that this has been such an illuminated topic, because Roses in the beginning had a couple of bumps in the road, but can you address the whether there be, in your opinion, an increase in crime, or is this something that you all have built into the proposal that would address this?
Yeah. So look, I mean, security at a casino is paramount, right? If you operate a casino, that has got to be one of your top priorities. If not your top priorities, how do you secure it? How do you secure the surrounding area? Why? Because there's lots of money there, right?
Right.
And so and bad actors, will know that. So generally, you got to think that a casino is also going to be, an employer of a very large security force that does not exist in the neighborhood now. A private security force that's going to, be there 24/7. The other thing is that we'll end up installing thousands of cameras, right? That will be all over the casino property in the interior and also the exterior surrounding areas. And if you think about the lighting that's going to be there, right? The lighting from the building itself, the lighting in the parking lot, the lighting from the marquee, is going to be also very significant. So an increase in lighting, an increase in security, an increase of cameras, to monitor the interior and the exterior. I think, and also an increase in activity. There's going to be thousands of people that are going to come visit, right? And so crime generally, is deterred when there's eyewitnesses around, people who can see what's going on, that can either be like, hey, don't do that, or B, call the authorities. And the location that we're proposing is right there in between the Altria. It's part of Altria's existing campus, but you got that the Altria factory there, and then Amazon and Brother, on the other side there. So two well secured places. So I really do think that we're going to bring development to the area, activity where people will come, and visit, activity in a place of activity where people that already frequent that area. And there's a lot of people, right? Between Altria, between the Port of Richmond, between the distribution systems over there. Now those people will have a reason to stay and stick around, in the 8th district, as opposed to just passing through or just coming to work and go home. And they'll, spend money and circulate, and that'll help the other businesses around. And I think that you're gonna, not only see a reduction, in crime, but an increase in significant pedestrian, personal traffic and activity. That'll be, overall lift the neighborhood.
Absolutely. And also you have DuPont just on the other side of Amazon there.
You know what? I forgot about. That's correct. You got DuPont on the other side of Amazon. So just think about, usually the people in those areas are passing through, they're, coming to work, or they're dropping something off, and then and they're leaving. Now they're going to have a reason to stay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that has been pretty hotly contested, especially in the South Side here, and I want to talk about this and have you to address this, is whether or not there's going to be some detriment to the boarding neighborhood. And before you dive into that, let me play a clip of when I went out on I think it was yesterday or a day before at the site itself, and kind of play a little bit of the clip for everybody here. Hey, Richmond, this is Cruz with Cruising Radio 102.8 and Cruise Media. I am actually out at the front gates of where the proposed casino site is going to be here on the South Side. And you're actually looking at the old Philip Morris building, office building here. And so what they have purchased, and again, this is Urban One and the Casino One and Resort have purchased all this area back here. And the controversy is whether or not this area is going to bring crime, whether it's going to bring extra traffic. And about a mile over, and I would say this, a mile over across the railroad tracks on the other side of the Philip Morris warehouses would be Lynn Haven and Cortland and other areas. So this is a mile away. And I'm going to pan through here again because what is being said right now for the most part is that, again, crime will increase in this area. Now, here's the Brother plant. Brother, obviously, again, is in this area. There's some other development in this area. Amazon, from my understanding, is close to this area. And straight ahead, you will see I-95 here. This is at Commerce and Walmsley, and 95 is where I am at this time. So, all right, Alfred, I didn't want to play that entire thing because I went on and I drove through, and again, from where the proposed site and again where the neighborhood borders, there's at least a mile through there. Are there any plans to come through those neighborhoods?
The answer is no. One of the reasons we picked this site is because we're very well aware of Richmond's pride in their neighborhoods, and we're also very well aware of but the power that neighborhood associations have in terms of making sure the development happens, in a responsible way, in and around those neighborhoods. People listen, right? The politicians listen, and neighbors, are very active. So when we looked at options, we wanted a couple things. We wanted a location that was easy to get to, easy to get in and out of, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order for a casino, a resort to be successful, you got to have visibility and easy access. And look, the Philip Morris plant is iconic. If you ask anybody about Richmond and passing through Richmond, those of us who don't live there, they know the Philip Morris site, right? You big stick going in there. Everybody knows that. Those folks that live in Richmond, have been so connected to that site over the years. Generations of people have worked there or been involved there because they're such a big force, and part of the community. And so the access was just unparalleled. You go down 95, you're south of, the loop around bypass interconnect. Everybody knows it. You get off exit 69 and you come off the exit ramp and you drive across Commerce Road, stay on the same road, and you just go down, and the entrance to our site that you said is right there. So it dumps you right into it. And that's the way most people are going to access the resort, or they're going to come down Commerce Road. They're not likely, to have streams of cars that are going to come through the neighborhood. So it's our neighbors are the Philip Morris plant, the DuPont plant, Amazon, and Brother, and there's a big buffer between us and the nearest neighborhoods that you said that are over a mile away, and that buffer is ponds and wetlands and railroad tracks. Right. I don't know, as a kid, I was always taught to don't play on the railroad tracks. Right. So I hope nobody's messing around on those railroad tracks. Yeah. And you always see the movies about the car that gets stuck on the railroad track, breaks down, and it doesn't usually end up great, in the movie. So we're hoping people won't be messing around with the railroad tracks. But certainly we live in a city. Richmond is a city.
Exactly.
I live in Washington, D.C. It's not rural. There isn't anything that's 5 miles away from something else or 10 miles away. It's not a rural environment. All these casinos across the state are being put into cities, right? In fact, the legislation was created, to help cities that were having economic challenges, and put them in places where they could lift up and create opportunity. That's what Senator Louise Lucas, who was the author of the bill, wanted for Portsmouth, right? and Danville, and so we thought this was the absolute best site to for access, buffer between the nearest neighborhoods, industrial zoning. So our neighbors across the street, our other industrial areas, the zoning, you don't need any. I mean, you can build that there. You can build a beautiful building that's tall, visible. There won't be any disturbance from lighting. There won't be any sound disturbances. And quite frankly, if there are some bad actors that are visiting the property and they leave, and they're not they're not going to break into the Altria plant. They're not going to break into the,
Right.
they're going to have to go home. So I'm pretty happy with our choice there, and I think again this will be a spark to create more activity and commerce, and there'll be a place to go, for those folks that live in that neighborhood that are a mile away or 2 miles away or whatever. They can come through there, and there's certainly a lot of activity, and there's also going to bring huge job opportunities because it's in the 8th district. We're going to be there hiring from the surrounding area, and residents are going to have first crack at those jobs, and they'll have a place to go eat and relax and be entertained, and our entertainment's going to be unparalleled. We're going to have a 3,000 seat theater in partnership with Live Nation. Urban One knows something about music and creating shows, and we're also partnered with Summit Media that owns the country station K95 and the classic rock station WKLR. So we're going to have all genres of music, from hip hop to country to gospel, and it's going to be an exciting place. We're going to put more. We're going to put $500-600 million of investment, in the 8th district, and that's a lot of. That's a lot of commerce. It will be an economic engine that that area hasn't seen. Very few people make proposals to make that kind of investment anywhere. And certainly Southside hasn't seen a lot of those proposals.
We're going to go through some questions here because again, I want. The citizens are the ones that had a concern. And one of the questions is whether you're going to be accepting any more investors.
So we are not actively soliciting additional investors, but because we have such a big network, people have come in and shown interest in the Hobbit, and so we are continuing to talk, to people as we go, through this process. So the answer is, even though we're not actively soliciting, I wouldn't say that the door is shut. The whole notion was to try to create a big tent. But find somebody who is connected to the project and get in their network, and we'll entertain a conversation.
All right. The next question, Alfred, is the investors need to. I guess this is a comment more than a question here. That the investors need to talk to the people in those neighborhoods where the investment is going. I'm sure you guys have done demographics and analyzations long before this project came about. Can you briefly, because I want to get to some other questions, kind of
certainly
talk about that.
So we have we've certainly gone in and talked to political representation, the council a person that represents the area. We've talked to some neighborhood organizations, made some deals with the neighborhood organizations about what we're going to do, this South Side. Excuse me for a second. I got it right here. We've got Southside Community Development Housing Corporation, Better Housing Coalition, Richmond Habitat for Humanity. as part of our community benefits agreement, we actually went in and made deals, that to contribute back to those organizations so they could put money back into the Southside community. I've done one teletown hall and took questions, and pretty much every caller that came through was from the Southside. I'm going to do another one that's just going to be specifically Southside specific. That will be probably towards the end of April. We're actually going to do a community event, coming up, at the site, in Southside. So we have been engaging. We're going to continue to engage. It has been a bit difficult with the pandemic and COVID. Right. People are nervous about, you just don't want to go up and start knocking on people's doors, right?
Exactly.
In this, pandemic environment. And in fact, when I did our citywide presentation, most of the calls that came from Southside, folks were on the phone. They weren't virtually like, we are now. So we are engaging. We will do more. You will see mailers, from us describing, the project. You can go to our website, onecasinoresort.com. You can register. You can find out more about the project, see videos of the company, see a video of the project, see a list of our local minority investors, and you can leave comments, about your thoughts and the engagement, which you want to have. So I would say that you'll see engagement continue to ramp up as we go through the process. This process isn't that old. Our very first our proposal was, due February 22nd,
right,
to the city. So, we didn't submit the proposal, but 6 weeks ago, right? As at February 22nd, March 22nd, we're in the middle of April now. Yeah, so it's about 6 weeks.
What I'm going to do, Alfred, is the questions are pouring in, and again, I think the appropriate site, as you just mentioned, is that they can go to the website itself. Can they submit questions, or I know that there's an information for Casino One. I'll take some of these questions and forward them to that email.
Yeah, I mean, if you got questions, you can forward them directly to me, right? You know what I mean? And also you can forward them to your Ms. Trammell, your council, representative, because obviously she's, a leader in what happens, in the city and represents the district. And, certainly we're going to, listen to her about, concerns, et cetera. You can send stuff directly to me, and you can address it on our website, as well.
I really appreciate you taking time out tonight, because you do have a lot of things going on with and addressing primarily people here in Richmond, particularly in the Southside area. And somebody wanted to know, says, if approved, when will construction start?
So if we are lucky enough to get selected, if you all, want it to come to the 8th District and the South Side, and you want the jobs and the entertainment and a place to go, and 12 bars and restaurants, I'm gonna reverse that, 12 restaurants into bars, spa, hotel. If we're lucky enough to get selected, the process will have to go to referendum. So the citizens of Richmond get to vote on the location and the operator, and that'll happen this November. And then we'll end up getting licensed, sometime, in December. We'll probably close the transaction in December or very early January. And we will start to break ground in January of 22. And our project, because the site is so large, we will actually be able to be up and operational by the end of 22 in December, with the first part, which will be a temporary casino. We'll be breaking ground on the permanent casino, and we'll build a temporary casino at the same time in January. The temporary casino will be operational by December of 22, and the permanent casino will be open a year later. Right.
Wow.
And then the hotel will open, I think it's 7 or 8 months after that, the hotel and the event center. There's a lot of things to build, so it'll be phased, but we have the ability to be up and running the fastest, to create jobs the fastest, to start giving our community benefits impact back the fastest, and to start generating revenue for the city the fastest. And that date is December of 22.
That's some serious fast tracking. Somebody said they want the bars too, so don't leave out the bars.
You got to be responsible. So I just said I kept it in there. I said, instead of bars and restaurants, it's that restaurant and bars. We're they're gonna be there.
Right. Now, I did hear from some restaurant owners in the area, and one of the questions that came about is, how did you all go about in selecting the restaurants that were going to be participating in this initial phase?
Yeah, no, it was really important that Richmond people benefited, right? Richmond is a foodie city. It is absolutely built its vibe, its reputation on its unique, culinary position. Not a lot of big box chain restaurants here that people, that people patronize. And so we went to the top restaurateurs in the city. Mama J's, Southern Kitchen, Lester at Mama J's, Shane at Southern Kitchen, Chris Sway, the Richmond restaurant group. Chris Sway's group is Eats. So the owners and the chefs that run the best, most well thought of restaurant operations from all genres is who we went to first. Okay. And said, we want you all to be partners. We want you to create concepts. And most of those restaurants are downtown or in the north side. We want you to create concepts and bring them to the south side, right? Yeah. Gotcha. And so now when people come to visit, one casino resort, they will also get a taste of real Richmond food, options, the best of Richmond, the taste of Richmond, but also South Side folks won't have to travel all the way into the city or to the North Side to experience those. So that's who we partnered with, to start, instead of, relying on, Hard Rock Cafe or Bubba Gump Shrimp or, right, or a chain like Morton's, and so, and many of those people are also going to be investors in the deal, right? So you'll know them, and that's one of the ways. And when you think about the bars, Virginia wines, distilleries, Virginia's got a great history and industry of making things that taste good.
Yeah.
And also make you feel good, and so we're gonna lean into that.
Now, I'm from Tennessee. I'm Memphis. We're big on barbecue. So
look, let me tell you something. That's one of the things I said. We got to figure out what the right barbecue concept is, and so that's high on my priority too. I was visiting our stations in Charlotte, North Carolina yesterday, and we were walking through the airport. You know what I mean? I was like, I went and got my North Carolina barbecue there. Barbecue is probably my favorite food option. So I don't know what that concept's going to be yet or who's going to do it, but rest assured we're going to figure that out.
I'm gonna make a special Memphis style barbecue for you, and I'll make sure you get that when you down in there. Last question here.
The Memphis dry rub, right? I know it's Memphis dry rub versus North Carolina vinegar based barbecue. Like, Texas has got its own thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the South Memphis version. It's not even the dry rub. We got a wet barbecue that we make homemade. So last question, I'm gonna let you, we're gonna have to wrap this up here. Somebody wanted to know, and I think this is probably gonna be another question that's gonna come about, how many entrances will there be to the casino?
That's a very good question, and I believe it's going to be, you come down the road, the entrance and the exit are going to be right there, off of that main road, which is off of Commerce. But I don't want to give you a definitive answer on that. That's the only one that I've looked at, that I've discussed at this point. Actually, that's not true. We discussed we discussed a second one that would have required us acquiring another piece of property, and we haven't really sort of come to a definitive viewpoint of whether or not we want to do that. So I don't have a concrete answer yet. So I'm going to defer on that.
Absolutely. Now, this is actually, that street that's off of Commerce is actually Walmsley, yep. And it comes to a dead end, and then there's another extension to
yep.
what is now called Richmond Highway, and there's some speculation whether or not you all will open that up and as a thoroughfare.
No, there's no plan to open up Walmsley, through the dead end. That's now that we are not planning to alter any of the roads, at this point as part of our proposal. And I know people are worried about that. So, yeah.
Well, Alfred, I'm going to give you the opportunity to close out, to again inform those that are watching and those that will be watching on our YouTube channel and others as they visit this subject. Why Casino One is the best option in terms of the three proposals that are out there.
Again, I would start that. I think that we've got the best proposal at the best site, the site that is going to have the highest visibility, the least, the most traffic that can come through it and be the least impactful to neighborhoods. We've got the largest site because we also have 50 acres of green space. We're building a park, hiking trails, etc. We're bringing world-class entertainment. Urban One specializes in that. Richmonders have patronized and listened to our radio stations for decades, and we have an extraordinary reputation and strong connection to the entertainment community. We're making a large investment in South Side, and the property will be beautiful. But the benefits of this property are going to uplift an area that hasn't had this kind of investment before. So yeah, you could put a casino in Scott's Addition, but Scott's Addition is already growing and
yes.
A barbell should have two anchors, right?
Right.
And this will be a great anchor, for the South Side, and Scott's Addition is going to continue to flourish and grow. And this group is a local group. Again, I don't live in Richmond, but I've been in business in this city in a big way for over 2 decades. The 55 people that are my partners in this do live there. Yeah. And you will know them. You'll have access. And the people that we're going to hire are going to be from South Richmond, and many of them are also, all of them that we hire will be owners as well. So this is the project that is most homegrown. Our construction companies, are homegrown. Our architects, are homegrown. And that's what you do, is you circulate opportunity and money within a community. And this is the project that is doing. We're going to be the best partner for the city for the next 2 or 3 decades. And I think that we've proven that we're committed to the city, and certainly the people that I'm in business with are committed to Richmond because they're Richmonders.
That's awesome. What I want to do for those that are still asking questions, we're out of time here, and we're going to have to. I'm asking that you send your questions. You need to go to the onecasinoresult.com, or you can send your questions to cruisingradio@gmail.com, and we'll make sure that Alfred and his team get those questions. And again, we thank you all for tuning in. We know that you have a lot more, and there's going to be again another event. Is that correct, Alfred?
Yeah.
Can you let them know about that before we close out?
It's going to be on the 15th. We're gathering all the details now, but it's going to be on Thursday. It's in its infancy. It's coming around, but Thursday the 15th, and we'll be at our site.
All right, everybody. This has been Cruise Inc. Radio 102.8 TV Live, and we've been honored to have the CEO of Urban One Incorporated. We got that changed for you also. You guys stay tuned. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our Cruise Inc. Radio Facebook page, Cruise Inc. Radio 102.8 Facebook page. Also, the Richmond VA Things to Do. And I'm so happy that we've gone over 8,000 members in this group as of yesterday. So thank you all. And also, you can go to our YouTube page, which is Cruise Inc. Radio 102.8, and review this broadcast for tonight. Thank you, everybody. Continue to support us. We're here as well to keep the neighborhood, keep the city, keep everybody informed as much as we can. And again, Alfred, we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule tonight. We're looking forward to seeing you and meeting you soon.
All right. My pleasure, Cruz. Thank you again.